This episode is brought to you by Google Gemini. With the Gemini app, you can talk live and have a real-time conversation with an AI assistant. It's great for all kinds of things, like if you want to practice for an upcoming interview, ask for advice on things to do in a new city, or brainstorm creative ideas. And by the way, this script was actually read by Gemini. Download the Gemini app for iOS and Android today. Must be 18 plus to use Gemini Live.
Chronic migraine is 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for adults with migraine with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It prevents, on average, 8 to 9 headache days a month versus 6 to 7 for placebo.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Ask your doctor and visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Did you get lost and not have communication with anybody for a bit?
I'm almost 40 years old. I don't think that I can get lost unless I want to.
Well, no, you're right about that. You're entitled to your privacy and you can make any decisions you want. But what was it that happened that caused you or those around you to be alarmed?
This is the plaintiff, Tariq Williams. He says his mother, the defendant, falsely filed a welfare check on him, and the cops busted in his door and broke the lock. He doesn't speak to his mom anymore. The woman refuses to pay him to get his broken lock fixed, and she needs to pay him the $500 he says he's owed. This is the defendant, Kim Williams. She says the plaintiff's grandmother was worried about him because no one heard from him for a couple of months, so she got worried too. She called the cops in good faith to do a welfare check on him. The cops broke his door. She was just a worried mother about her son and has no responsibility for the plaintiff's broken lock. She's accused of being too motherly.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Williams, you're suing your mother for $500. Why?
Because I was not home. I was at a friend's house. My phone had broke the night before, so I was waiting for someone to bring me some money so that I can get a new phone. And we couldn't coordinate at my house if I didn't have a phone. So, when they come to my friend's house, they can call the phone or his phone and say, tell them to come downstairs or whatever. So I get home that night about 8 p.m. I'm going to put my keys in my lock, and basically the locks fall off the door.
Your lock falls off the door?
Yes.
What does that mean? It's in your hand? It's connected to your key?
I put the key in, and as soon as I turned it, the locks basically fell off.
Fell down to the ground?
Yes.
Okay, go on.
The top and the bottom. So the door frame was basically broken off. I went into my house. It looked like nothing was touched, but I could tell that basically someone had gotten in. So I went down the street to buy locks because, as I said, I was at a friend's house waiting for someone to bring me some money. So I had money to go change the locks. However, the door frame was still broken. So if you put a little oomph and, just pushing the door, it will open. So the next day, I had someone come and change the locks, but the door frame was still broken. However, basically, I didn't know if someone was trying to come to kill me. I didn't know what was going on, if they wanted to rob me.
Is there someone who wants to kill you?
I didn't know. I just knew that I wasn't home. Thank God I wasn't there when it happened.
Okay.
I was in the house probably for the next 3 days. My partner changed the locks. We were basically in the house for the next 3 days. I was kind of shooken up. We got into an argument Thursday night, so by Friday...
Who's we?
My partner and I.
Okay.
Basically, Friday, it was back to business now. I've been in the house for 3 days. I went to the agency that helps pay, basically that helps assist me with my rent. And they called my grandmother. She's secondary on anything medical in all the hospitals in New York, and as far as my apartment goes. So they called her on three-way.
Wait, why did they call her?
Because she's secondary on my apartment.
Yeah, but why are they calling her?
I don't know. She got called as soon as I walked in. They put her on speakerphone. Like I said, she's listed secondary, anything that happens with me.
As soon as you walked in to speak to the housing authority who helps you with your rent, they said, I'm calling your grandmother. But did they say why they were calling?
She's listed as, like I said,
no, that's why they picked her and didn't call someone else. Why are they calling anybody is
because
what I'm
that's
asking.
who I chose as my emergency or secondary.
But why do they have to speak to your grandmother at all? What is the purpose of the phone call?
I don't know. As I said,
okay,
she's
so
listed
go
as
on.
my secondary. As soon as I walk in, they said, is it okay if we put it on speaker? I said, yes. So you have the worker, the supervisor, their supervisor. It's on speaker. She says, like, on speaker in front of everyone, your mother kicked in or had the police kick in your door as a wellness check.
Who said that?
My grandmother, her mother.
Okay.
I'm like, what? She's never been to my apartment in 6 years. How the hell does she get, excuse my language, how does she tell the police to kick in my door? Like, she has no say-so on my apartment or anything, and we
I don't think the police get their orders from her. I don't understand. Did you call in a wellness check?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Okay, hold on one second. All right, so did you, like, get lost and not have communication with anybody for a bit?
I'm almost 40 years old. I don't think that I can get lost unless I want to.
Well, no, you're right about that. You're entitled to your privacy and you can make any decisions you want. But what was it that happened that caused you or those around you to be alarmed?
Me and my son, we weren't speaking, but he always stays in contact with my mother and his paternal grandmother. So my mother called me and she said, have you heard from Tariq? And I said, no, we're not speaking. So she said, I haven't heard from him. And I said, and how long? I think she said like 2 months. Yes. So then she said, let me call his other grandmother, his paternal grandmother. So my mother called me back and said his grandmother hasn't heard from him either. In about 2 months, the number that she had for him is no longer working. So now I'm worried now. So what I do is I reached out to his father and I said, listen, I said, your mother and my mother hasn't heard from Tariq in about 2 months. So he said, well, Kim, I'm gonna go out there because Tariq lives in the Bronx. He's right. I've never been to his apartment before, but his father goes all the time. So what I do is, because I didn't want to wait.
How long had his father not seen him?
I would assume a couple of months too.
What, do you remember what he said or no?
He said he hadn't heard from him.
But he didn't say how long?
I'm assuming it was a while.
I'm assuming too, because otherwise you would know that the 2 months wasn't the real cutoff. Like you would think, if he said I talked to him last week, then you would have stopped worrying.
Right. So now what I do is I call the police.
He says that he'll go by there. You had a discussion with his dad by text.
Yes.
And do you mention calling the police, or does he mention calling?
I said that I was going to do it.
Call in a wellness check,
yes,
and just have the police go by and knock on the door, make sure he's alive.
I was worried, so I did. I called several police departments until I got the right one, and I said to him, I said, you know, my son. He said, how old is your son? I said that I haven't heard from him. My mother nor his grandmother, nobody has heard from him in about 2 months. So he said, okay. He asked me for the Social Security number, date of birth, and everything. So what he does was he said, give me a few hours, and I'll call you back. He called me back, and he said, Ms. Williams, he said, I can tell you 2 things. Your son is not in jail, and he's not in the hospital. But I'm still worried, though, because where's he at? So he said, well, you know, the next thing that you could do is we could do a wellness checks.
Right.
So I said, okay, so how does that work? He said, I'm going to give you, he said, I'm going to switch you to another department, and they'll take the information. So they took the information, and I started texting his father because I didn't know the address. His father gave me the address, and then they asked for a
So
phone.
Dad knew when he was giving you the address that it was for a wellness check.
Yes. So the number that I had for Tariq wasn't good anymore. So his father said, here's the number too. So when I gave them that information, I was still like worried and still making phone calls.
Right. You hadn't talked to him in how long?
I'm going to say in a couple of months.
And why hadn't you talked to him in all that time?
Because Tariq had asked to borrow money from me, and because I said to him, you didn't pay me back from the last time, he was like, yeah, I did. I was like, no.
I did. You called me.
Okay, no, wait, don't talk to her.
Okay.
Hold on, don't just shout out your displeasure. She's in the middle of testifying. Go ahead.
So
over money?
Yes. So
Have you ever not talked to your child before this? Like, have you had ups and downs in this relationship
Yes.
where you haven't talked to each other for a while?
Yes, but at least somebody else in the family stayed in contact with him. This time, nobody had been in contact with him. If my mother had said, "Oh, I heard from him," everything would have been fine. But because nobody heard from him, yes, I was worried, and I was like really, really worried for him. So that's why me and him stopped speaking, because he says, "Oh, I mailed you the money," and I said, "Okay, just like you mailed somebody else money, I never got my money in the mail."
Who's this somebody else?
My mother.
So he also borrowed money from her and then didn't pay her
And
back?
said he put it in a card and she never got it as well.
Okay.
So I said, "I'm not loaning you any more money anymore." So that's why he and I stopped speaking.
All right. Can I ask you, you called the police and you told me they transferred you to the right department. You gave them the address, and then what happened?
And so they called me like 2:00 in the morning and said, "Ms. Williams, we went to the house. Nobody came to the house." He said, "We're going to go back again." And I said, "Oh, thank you so much." So they went back the next night, and he said, "Ms. Williams, we're at the house." He said, "There's 3 guys in the house." He said, "Please, could you send us a picture of your son?"
Why don't they just ask, who's Tariq?
I don't know.
Were you one of the guys there when the police came, or no?
I was not there when the police
You never saw
came.
the police. Okay,
But
go
you know
ahead.
what? I remember what they was told. They was told that Tariq did not live there.
Who was at that house when the police got there?
Basically, as I said, when I got in, and the next night at 8 p.m.
No, my question was, who was in the house when the police got there?
Nobody.
The police say that there were 3 people there saying you didn't live there.
There was nobody there.
So was it the wrong address?
No, it was the correct address. I gave them the picture, and they said, "Ms. Williams, the picture that you gave us, it wasn't your son." So then I called his father. His father said, "Kim, I'm going to go up there." I said, "Okay, I'm going to print out some pictures so you can take with you." So the next day was Mother's Day. So every Mother's Day he will always call, right? So his father said, "Well, tomorrow's Mother's Day, Kim. Hopefully, you'll get a phone call." So I wake up early that morning. There's a missed call. It's a New York number. I texted and I said, "Who is this?" Nobody responded back. So then my mother calls me and said, "Oh, Tariq called me and said he's fine and for you to mind your business."
Okay. When did you hear that your son was suing you over something the police did, which I guess was break down the door when there was no answer?
Did the police leave a note that even it was them who kicked down your door? No, they did not. I didn't know.
Oh, do you think your mother kicked down your door?
No, I just know that because of her actions was the result of my door
but you
being
think
kicked
it's
in.
the police who did it,
I didn't know. Honestly, at first I didn't know who did it.
Well, then why are you pinning it on your mother?
Because my grandmother said it was her, and she did it as a wellness check, and then my sister told me she was
but a
drunk,
wellness check is
and
something
she
you
did
get
it.
the police involved in. It's not something you do yourself. Like she wasn't going to the Bronx. Where do you live?
I live in South Jersey.
My sister said
Right.
she
Nobody
was-
from South Jersey makes the trip to the Bronx. You just call the
sister
cops.
said she was drunk
You call
when she
every
did it,
department
and
till the
she
right
said, "Why
department
would you
answers.
do that?" And she began to curse her out.
Can
But I
just
said, "Why
ask
would you do that?" I called the feds
Why
because
are you
the police
suing your
assisted
mother
you in
for
that.
worrying about you when no one had heard from you
Because
in
me and my
months?
mother hadn't spoken since November, whatever the reason was. In January,
Over
I
money.
heard. But yeah, in January, I heard her on my property. I don't want to speak of what this issue was. So we had not spoken since
In
then.
January, what?
I heard something with her on my property. I don't even want to speak of what this issue was. But again, we hadn't spoke since November. We hadn't had any dealings, and I was fine with that. I was fine. I think if I was dead, they would have reached out to my next of kin
If they
and told
found
you
you,
that
or
I
maybe
was
you
dead.
were hurt and somebody needed to help you.
They told her he's not in jail, he's not in the hospital. If I was dead, they would have reached out to my next of kin and said that I was dead. My name's tattooed on
If
me.
they found
would
you,
have found somebody, believe
if
me.
they found you, but what if you've been sitting there rotten for 2 months?
This episode is brought to you by Heyday. Looking to escape all the festive chaos? Turn holiday hecticness into harmony with Heyday, the mobile game that helps you harvest calm, one crop at a time. Reclaim your me time. Relax, decorate, and enjoy farming bliss as you tend to your animals and harvest crops as part of a welcoming, stress-free community. Join over 20 million players. Just tap or click on the banner now to download Heyday for free today.
Looking for a pickup truck to get just about anything done? Look no further. The Chevy Silverado EV isn't just the most powerful Silverado ever, with next-level towing capability and technology. It also offers game-changing versatility with the available multi-flex midgate and tailgate, which means Silverado EV helps you carry large, bulky, and oddly shaped items up to nearly 11 feet in length. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Visit Chevrolet.com to learn more.
What makes you think she tells the cops what to do when they get there? All she did was call the cops and say, I'm worried about my son. Can you check on him? That's all she did. She doesn't set the protocol for the police department.
Who was she to go looking for a 40-year-old man?
Seriously. So what you're suing your mother for is worrying that you might have been dead and needed help. Needed help.
And my door did not kick itself in.
No, I'm sure the cops kicked it in.
And who gives them the right to kick it in?
No, talk to the cops and find out.
She called them.
Yeah, but she doesn't tell them, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go to his address. Then you're going to take your left foot and you're going to put it up on high, stretch a little beforehand so you don't hurt yourself, and then you're going to kick it in. Did you tell the cops to kick it in? No. She calls the cops like anybody else in her position and says, can you please knock on the door? No one has heard from my son in 2 months.
It's been 5 months, but I mean, it takes you that long.
Why weren't you talking to your grandma?
Honestly, I was living my life privately and fine.
Okay, everybody needs to know that Tariq wants nothing to do with anybody.
Now you know. And there's no problem.
So don't bother checking on him. Tariq wants to live alone with his friends, living his life. He doesn't want grandmamas worrying about him. He doesn't want his father worrying about him.
I'm sorry.
He doesn't want his mother worrying about him. You people stop worrying about him.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, you're
Let
right.
him do what he wants. He wants to live his life. He doesn't want anybody worrying about him. Don't worry about him. Okay, what'd your mother do wrong besides call the police and ask them to check on you because no one had heard?
I felt like before she involved herself in whatever, my door was fine. I don't feel like I should have to foot the cost to pay it because my landlord said I did. I feel like I was not home when it happened. You guys didn't kick in my door for drugs. You weren't the ATF,
if you think the police
and you
did
didn't find
wrong.
the drugs. I felt like my landlord shouldn't have to pay for it either.
What about drugs? What'd you say?
I said it's not like the ATF kicked in my door for drugs and found them. I was not home when it happened. You didn't find any drugs in my house. I don't feel like my landlord should have to pay for it because it's not your fault either. It wasn't your actions that resulted to the door being kicked in. I feel like it was her actions that resulted to that.
Maybe it was your actions of not letting anybody know you were alive. People who thought that you had been in contact with them and that you would be talking to them. Either way, you know who didn't kick in your door? She didn't. Yeah.
Your Honor, I did it with no malicious intent.
Of
this
course.
Is my son,
of course.
And I love him.
But it's still.
Of course she did it with no malicious intent. Oh, get out of my courtroom. Verdict for the defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So the plaintiff loses his case against his mother. She did not break down his door. He doesn't get $500 from her. Let's see what he has to say. Mr. Williams, it didn't go too well for you in there. What are your thoughts?
Watch out for the police and watch out for your family. If they can let someone who's never been on your property and someone who you're not on speaking terms with for 5 months kick in your door, they will let anybody kick in your door.
Well, look, your mom called on your behalf. They just wanted to know you were all right.
I'm still breathing and I'm here.
Is it all right to at least keep in touch with them? Send them a note every 2 or 3 months?
When I get home, Doug, I'm going to tell them to kick in your door. It's that easy. That's all I'm saying. I've never been to your property, and I'm telling them to kick in your door. All I'm saying is it's that easy.
All right. You don't get the $500 from her. Good luck to you.
You have a great day.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's see what the mother has to say. Ms. Williams?
Hi.
How do you feel about what just happened here?
I feel good, but then that's my son, and I love him, and there was no malicious intent. We were all worried about him.
So what are you going to do if you don't hear from him now in another 6 months?
I might call the police again.
Well, that might not be good.
No, I'll get his father to go up there, seriously.
All right. Well, listen, I'm glad you didn't have to pay for the door.
Yeah, me too.
Good luck to you. Thank you very
so
much.
Thank you.
Okay, good enough.
So, Doug, this is actually a really tough one because, yes, the door was broken. Yes, the mother is the one who initiated it. But what this comes down to is whether she had a right to initiate it. This is her son, and she was worried about him because she hadn't heard from him. So it wasn't unreasonable for her to call the police to ask for a welfare check. And when he didn't answer, the cops did what cops do to make sure somebody is okay inside.
Are hourly employees required to answer text messages after hours that are work-related?
I'm going to say yes, because if you're an hourly employee, if you're an at-will hourly employee, you don't have some contract that specifies about that stuff. Yeah, I mean, your boss is going to call you and say, or text you and maybe give you instructions about Monday. What do you think?
Well, I don't like the word required. I mean, technically speaking, you get paid by the hour, and you don't need to work when you're not working.
Right.
The question is, what are you going to do about it? If you're an at-will employee and they just, your employer just thinks you're unresponsive.
Oh, you didn't answer my text message. Nice knowing you on Monday. Clean out your desk, you're gone. I think,
but I don't think any employer has any business expecting people to work on their off time unless they're going to get paid to work on their off time.
Well, I mean, is that really working on your off time?
And is this one time because there's an emergency, or is this a chronic thing where I hear from my boss every weekend? Like, I don't want to,
I suppose it could be abused. That's it's kind of a delicate area. I mean, a decent human being and a decent boss is not going to have you jumping all weekend with texts about this and that and the other thing just because he or she can't keep work off their mind, or you know what I mean, and just can't disconnect. And you need to disconnect. So I mean,
think it's time to have a frank and earnest discussion with your employer about what should and shouldn't be expected. Basically. I mean, if it's like a one-off, can you work on Monday? Don't complain. If it's questions about specific
what do you
files
think about reorganizing the Jones file, or how would you suggest we do it? All kinds of stuff.
Can we talk about that on Monday?
Right.
I'm with my family.
Right. Maybe you need an auto reply message that goes just to your boss. It says, "We'll talk Monday."
No, I suggest you be nicer than that. But
all right. But I say you could get in trouble and you might get fired.
I mean, you could get fired because you can always get fired, but I don't think that you are required to do any such thing as part of your job.
And
I mean,
people shouldn't have to live their job 24/7
no,
every single day.
that's just for you and me.
Exactly.
Every day, supporters like you help the American Cancer Society improve the lives of people facing cancer and their families. Your donation helps ensure that everyone has an opportunity to prevent, detect, treat, and survive cancer. With your help, the American Cancer Society is working to end cancer as we know it, for everyone. Visit cancer.org to make a life-saving gift today.
This is the plaintiff, Victoria. She says the defendant is her boyfriend's brother, and she loaned him money so he could buy Christmas presents. That's right, his bank account was wiped clean because he didn't pay his child support. It was right before the holidays. Now, 3 years later, she's still owed the $1,690 she lent him. So she's suing. This is the defendant, Fabio. He says the plaintiff is his brother's girlfriend, and he gave his brother all the money to pay her back after he got his tax refund. Now, over a year later, he gets this lawsuit from the plaintiff, claiming she never got the money from his sketchy brother, who he no longer talks to, and somehow that's his problem? Ha! He's accused of dissing his brother's girl.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that the defendant is her boyfriend's brother, and she gave the guy money for Christmas presents, and now the guy will not pay her back. But the defendant says he gave his brother all the money the plaintiff lent him, and if he didn't pay her back, then that's on them. It's the case of Mary Blanken at Christmas.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Victoria, you are suing your boyfriend's brother, Mr. Fabio, for $1,690, a balance of a loan that you say he still owes. Tell me what happened here.
Okay, so on December 18th, I was shopping, and I got a telephone call from, first, can I say that I love you so much?
Oh, sure. You can.
I love you a lot.
Time,
I love you a lot.
You can interrupt the flow of your story just to tell me how much you love me. In fact, I virtually insist upon it.
Yeah, and don't even bother asking him because he doesn't.
So what? Okay. But what happened between you two?
Okay,
you get a call on December 18th.
Yes, I was shopping. We were Christmas shopping actually.
Okay.
And I got a call from his mom. She left me a voicemail, and she said if I can come to the house. She had something really important that she needed to discuss with me and stuff like that. So we just went over there because we were like 10 minutes away.
Well, why didn't she call her son? Isn't that her son?
He was with me.
Right, but why is she calling you instead of her son?
Because she knows that he wouldn't. He told me not to do it.
Because his mother knew exactly what she was asking you, and she wouldn't ask him that question. And so she asked you what?
Okay, so then when I got to the house, she asked me if I can loan Fabio $2,500 because all of his money was taken out of his bank account because he wasn't paying child support.
So his bank account got garnished for the child support because he wasn't paying his debts.
Because, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, supposedly child support took everything.
Well, no, they took it because he wasn't paying the child support, I presume, because that's the only time they dip into your account, right?
Correct.
Right. So, meaning he owed child support and didn't pay that debt. So you couldn't wait to loan him $2,500 to do what?
Okay, Judge. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, oh, you think?
Yeah.
You couldn't wait to loan him $2,500 for what purpose?
Okay, because he has a little boy. And I felt bad because it was Christmas and I could help him, so I did.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did he buy his son $2,500 worth of presents for Christmas? Because that sounds a little extravagant.
Well, he had to pay bills and stuff.
So was the money for bills or just for Christmas presents?
The mom told me that he had no money in his account to do anything, and he was strapped to pay bills.
Where was he living at the time?
With his mother.
Oh, well then what bills does he have to pay? Is it mom able to help him out? I can't hear.
I say you're tough.
I'm tough? Yeah, no, I'm tough because I don't understand. He tells you not to do it, right?
He did.
What'd you say to her?
I said, don't do it.
Why?
Because it's not gonna end right.
Why though? What experience had you had that made you feel that way?
I just had something like a gut feeling inside.
Oh, so you had never loaned him money before and him not paid?
No.
You just didn't think it was a good idea to loan family money?
No.
It's not like he's destitute and he needs it because he's homeless. He's living with the mom. So what was the money for? What did your mom say the money was for?
Christmas presents.
No, pay bills.
That's what you said in the complaint. Christmas presents, no bills.
Pay bills.
Yeah.
Because my mom really doesn't work.
All right, so your mom says that to you guys, and he doesn't say that to you. Like, how did that happen? When did you talk to him?
The same day they went to the house. The same exact day.
So he comes out after mom made the request.
My mom was sitting to the left. I was in the middle, and he was sitting to the right.
He's there when mom is making the request.
We were all at the table when the money was handed.
Right, but why is mom speaking for him? How old is he?
32, I believe. 32.
Right, so why is mom doing the request instead of him? Well, come on, you got to know. You know the family dynamic.
Because maybe if he would have asked, she would have said no. Come with my mom, have a little.
So you think they were manipulating her? You think mom and he were manipulating her by doing that? All right, so, manipulation achieved because you fork over $2,500 and what happens?
So 7 months went by.
And not a penny?
Not a penny.
And did you ask him for the money during those 7 months?
Yes, I texted him.
Wait, you texted him after 7 months or you texted him during the 7 months?
I texted him.
When's the first time you texted him?
Me, the 7 months, but he's always talking with his brother.
Okay, so when you're talking with your brother, when do you tell him, hey, it's time to start paying this back?
As soon as he gets income tax.
Meaning because he gets money back?
Gets a refund from income
refund.
Tax, she'll get paid in full.
Okay, and
there's something happened that
it didn't
took his income tax.
Oh, do you think? Because apparently he owes child support and isn't paying it. So the second thing they're gonna take is his income tax. But
when I sent him the text, he answered me back and he said that.
What month did you send him the text?
It was 7 months. It was 7 months later.
Right. I'm asking about those 7 months. Like during those 7 months, what's the discussion you guys are having? You're seeing your brother. You have a relationship with your brother?
Yeah, but COVID hit.
We used to, yeah.
COVID hit him what? He didn't have a job? Is that what you're saying? What are you saying?
That's what he's saying. He's saying he wasn't working. My mom wasn't working. He was helping, picking up the slack.
He gave the COVID excuse.
Okay. All right. So then what happens? So it's 7 months later, you text him, and does he answer your text?
Yes, that's when he said about COVID, and then I'll get my money and stuff like that.
Okay, and then did he pay any money?
Yes.
What did he pay?
I got a murder here.
No, a year later.
A year later?
Yeah.
Yes.
So he didn't pay $20.
He paid nothing.
3/22/21 was a payment for $700, and then 5/6/21 was a payment for $110.
And then after that,
that's
nothing.
the total he's paid since 2019.
That's it.
Okay, let me hear from you, Mr. Fabio.
So, like they said, my mom called them. I guess I was working, and I told her the situation I was in. So she took it upon herself to reach out to Vicky.
Well, so as soon as Vicky and your brother came over, why didn't you say no? I'll handle this.
So I told my mom that they came over, and told them the situation.
No, I'm saying if you're making it sound like it wasn't your idea, then why not just say no?
just because it wasn't my idea, doesn't mean that it wasn't going to be helpful towards me. So,
okay.
You know, I accepted it and I told him thank you. And that's it. We moved forward from there. And then I made one payment. And then I told
I'm sorry,
him,
the payment that he says you made almost 2 years later, right?
Like, I don't know, a year later, I believe. No, 2 years
According to
later.
them, it was a year, well, it's a
Or
year and a
2 years
half, I
later.
think would be accurate.
Yeah, a year and a half.
Right. So what happened in that year and a half? Did you ever say to Vicky, I'm so sorry, I'm working on it. Can
Yeah.
I put me on a payment plan? Here's $50 a month. Did you try to do anything?
So actually, yes, I did tell them that I was going to pay them a little a month, and he actually refused. He said, no, give it to me when you have it all at once.
Okay, so did you put $50 away every
Yeah, I
month
did.
to try to, and then hand them money?
I didn't.
No, you didn't, because a year and a half passed and you hadn't paid a penny.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. So how is that you putting money away and trying
when
to...
I got my tax return, I did give him the rest of the money
When you got your tax return in what year?
in 2021.
When you got your tax return in 2021,
Yes.
you gave your brother the rest of the money.
Correct.
And what, your brother's a liar? Because did he give you any the $1,800 that was
Just
left
2
over,
payments.
or whatever it was that was left over?
Just two payments.
Just 2 payments.
And he signed.
And I also have
I signed
I also have the text saying that they took my income tax money and I can't pay you.
So then how did you pay him with your income tax money in 2021 if your income tax money
they
was...
took a partial of it because once they garnished my account, I was called.
Well, what did you say to him? That they took part of it, or did you say to him in a text, they've taken my income tax money?
Well, they took some of the income tax
That
money.
wasn't my question. That's the answer to what did they do. My question to you is, what did you say to him?
To be honest, I can't recall. It was so long ago.
They took my income tax because you didn't pay anything to him from the income tax money. You not only do you take the money, then you don't pay it, and then you're lying about whether you paid him to get him in trouble with her.
No, that's not true. I did pay
What
him.
proof do you have that you paid him the money when he has a proof that you sent him a text saying, I have no money? They took my income tax money.
Well, there was an ulterior motive why, he waited 2 years. Why wait 2 years later to bring me to court then?
I wouldn't. I'd bring you to court right away.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't loan you the money, So obviously she has the patience of Job, because I wouldn't loan you the money. I would listen to him and say, hey, I just don't want to be in this position. I love you too much. It's family. I'm sorry. Or you know what? If it's really for Christmas presents, here's $100. You don't have to pay me back. Okay? You got to be kidding me, man. Do you have any proof that you paid your brother? Tell me what the ulterior motive is you're talking about with your brother.
Why would he wait 2 years later to come in?
No, we already talked about that.
Yeah,
you said he has a motive. What's the motive?
Yeah, the motive is because I had a Jeep leased under his name, and when it was time to bring the lease back, he was planning on buying it out the whole time. But the thing was me to bring the car back. So they were going to buy the car back as is with the damage that it was.
Wait, what damage?
On the Jeep that he leased under his name. And the
For you?
Yeah, the Jeep.
That's another case, Judge. That's another case. That has nothing to do with me.
Wait. No, but it has something to do with it if he's saying that's why your boyfriend's lying. So I'm going to hear it. But I'm trying to understand what you're saying. So he was nice enough to put a Jeep lease for you under his name. Why did it have to be under your name?
But he could have it under his name because of the child support.
Oh, you mean so he could rook his wife and she wouldn't get child support, his baby, his child? We want to make sure that, So, honest to God, who was making the payments?
He was.
Okay, and it was what? A Jeep of what year?
2019 Grand Cherokee Limited, right out of the showroom.
Oh, right out of the showroom. Well, what's wrong with you? Because are you older than he is?
Yeah.
Okay, by how much?
16 years.
Okay, so maybe you shouldn't be teaching him how to hide money from the ex-wife and the child by buying a Jeep of the year, a current Jeep of the year, right out of the showroom. Maybe he should show a little responsibility. So maybe you do have a history of seeing. It's not a gut. It's that you know. How did you not just say, this isn't happening?
I said, don't do it.
No. That's different from this is not happening.
My mom was there and she...
I don't care, your mom's there. You have the experience. You know what he does. Why? Why not stop? If you love her, why not stop her from being in this position? You're a big woman. You're entitled. You're entitled to make your own decisions, and you're responsible for your own decisions. I'm asking about a separate issue because I would expect my husband to love me enough that he says, this is not happening. This is not happening to my mother. This is not happening to my brother, and this is just not happening. That's what I would expect his brother. I would expect my husband to do that. But in any event, let's go back to where we are. $1,690, which you say you paid him. $1,690 or $1,800? What is it you say say you paid? Because in your answer to the complaint, you thought it was $1,800.
Yeah, $1,800.
The balance, according to you, is only $1,690.
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
700 and 110 minus 2,500.
Yeah, it was $2,500. He paid $700 and $110. So the balance is $1,690.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And your defense is what again? You were starting to tell me a motive. Tell me about, so you damaged, I think what you're saying is that you damaged the Jeep, right?
Yeah, it got sideswiped where it was parked. The lease was up this past October. The manager said, we'll buy it back as is, don't worry. So I was like, all right, then I don't have to repair it. We'll just buy it back like that. So that's what I told him. I'm like, I'm bringing it back today. And he started freaking out because he had the
What do you mean by buy it back?
They were going to buy the Jeep back because the lease was up.
Okay, they were just going to take possession of their Jeep because the lease was up, not buy it from you. You don't own it.
Well,
all right.
Exactly. They were with the damages like that.
Okay. And then he
was planning on actually purchasing the Jeep when the lease was over, but he didn't tell me none of that. He was just, that was
And therefore?
And therefore, that's why he's now 2 years later wants money because he.
No, but I'm trying to understand because he had to fix it.
Correct.
So you didn't fix the damage?
No.
That's another case, Judge.
Because I didn't have to.
Do you people talk to each other?
No.
Does mom understand what she did? Yeah. Or not really?
I mean, I don't speak to my mom.
Oh, you don't speak to your mom either? No. For other reasons or for this?
For this, for all this is happening.
This is like one of the main reasons why, yeah.
Does she baby him?
110%, yes.
When was the last time you spoke to your mother?
Almost about, I would say 7 to like 9 months ago.
What are you going to do during Christmas? What'd you do with Thanksgiving? Like, you're just not going to talk?
Her family.
No, I don't mean how'd you entertain yourself. I meant like you just don't call her?
No. She called me on my birthday on Thanksgiving Day. I didn't answer the phone.
And this is why?
For the same reason, what's going on.
But why? Does she harass you about it or just you're mad at her over it?
It's not that because she doesn't tell you how it is. She takes sides in one side only, which I don't think is fair. If you know something is not right, which is wrong, you have to say how it is. It's been like that for years, and I'm just drained.
She should have never called me.
I'm just drained, and I'm just frustrated. I'm tired.
And she never called you and apologized or did it?
Never.
So you have managed to not only owe her $1,690 and not pay for all these years, you've managed to separate your mother. How old's the mother, more or less? Like
70.
You've managed to deprive her of her son and daughter-in-law and cause a family schism. And I assume you two don't talk to each other either. Right. Way to go. Way to go.
Well, not entirely. I mean, there's a lot of history with him. I mean, my mom's lent them money not long ago either. He hasn't paid her back. So, I mean, that's another discussion too. But, yeah.
I not only find that you have no proof of having paid back, I find you didn't pay back. I think you're lying about it. And I'm ruling, and that has nothing to do with Victoria. You owe the money to Victoria, you should be paying the money to Victoria. I am finding in her favor in the amount of the $1,690. That's my verdict.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Anna.
So the plaintiff prevails. She's going to get the $1,690 from the defendant. The judgment, anyway. Let's see what the defendant has to say. It's kind of rough for him in court today. Fabio, what did you think of this experience in court?
I mean, it didn't really play out as, as it should have. I mean, I got made out to be the bad guy in a way. So, I mean, kind of, got to just roll with the punches, I guess.
I mean, it's kind of embarrassing for you, I would think.
Yeah,
really
it is.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen? I mean, are you going to try and repair your relationship with your brother and his wife?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. If it's mutual, you live and you learn, hopefully.
But you're not talking to him now, right?
No.
All right. Well, that's the judge's verdict. You're going to have to live with it, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's see what Victoria has to say about it. I would imagine she feels pretty good. You're going to get the $1,690 finally. You okay?
Yes.
What about, the brother? What did you feel about this?
I mean, it's a learning curve. You live and learn, and now you know for the best for next time. That's it.
I mean, have you totally washed your hands of your brother?
I mean, I don't want to say yes because who knows what the future holds. It's still blood, but as of right now, we just gotta, take it day by day.
All righty. But anyway, you finally got this settled. The $1,690, you're going to get that, and then you go from there, right?
Right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, good luck to
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I hope things eventually work out.
Doug, it's true the brother is a witness here. Relatives can be witnesses in cases. It doesn't mean they're automatically biased. The judge will probe, but it's not disqualifying.
Well, do you have a favorite Christmas holiday memory from when you were a kid?
Yes.
Too many to recount?
No, well, many, but I remember a particular Christmas when Santa Claus did not bring one of our children one of her requested gifts.
Oh, yeah.
And it was something she really wanted.
Right. Santa couldn't get it.
Santa couldn't get it. And
supply chain issue.
And she couldn't have been 3 or 4, our middle child, and she said, wait a second.
After all the gifts were open.
Yeah. I guess he couldn't get me the blah, 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 whatever it was. Oh, it was a Barbie motorcycle.
Right, right.
And then maybe half an hour later, you found a note that Santa Claus had written.
Right, like kind of stuck behind the tree. I said, wait, what's that
What's
over
that,
there?
Alex? And
Didn't you see that?
And then you found Santa's note saying that the elves had worked so hard and
they got a little behind.
They got a little behind.
He couldn't force them to keep working because the collective bargaining agreement between the elf union and Santa. They needed a little extra time.
Yeah, that was darling, because the smile on that girl's face was electric.
Yeah, I thought up a lie and I thought it up quick, right? It worked out pretty well. Well, you know, when I was a little kid, I remember for like 3 or 4 years in a row, Santa Claus came to my house before Christmas, like a week before Christmas with one of his elves, right? And it just blew me away. He came in and said hello and everything. And each time he would come, my oldest brother wasn't there, and my dad wasn't there because he was at work or something. And he would come home, and I'd go, Dad, you missed it. Santa was here, right? And then the next year, the same thing happened. I go, you missed it again. Right?
Santa was here with an elf.
And like a year or 2 later, my parents told me when I got a little bit older, that was your father.
And your brother.
But I bought into it 100%.